Hello everyone. So today I'm making a slightly different video, calling it Casual Saturdays. So basically yesterday I just went out for like a morning walk, photo session, and I took some photos and I brought my GoPro. In today's video I'm just gonna go through those with a little bit of commentary, show you some of the footage. I wanna do this to try and get into the practice of just, getting out and taking photos and not making a big deal out of it, and not making a big deal out of these videos as well, because I also want to make a habit of shooting and shooting regularly. So without any more waffling, here it is. Enjoy and have a good week. Okay, so we started like pretty much in the center of the city, and this is the first photo of the day where I just got this like view of the cathedral through some of this construction work. Now, this first shot here, I thought there might be something maybe with this lady and with the tree and through the fence, but in the end I thought there might be something better. So I moved a little bit closer with this view of these fences just in front of me, and yeah, I was kind of just looking at the contrast between the cathedral and like that it's such a prominent part of Cologne and it's such a big thing here, and also just how like old and monumental it is, and just contrasted with this temporary construction work and all of this like city clutter that now stands around it. I think it kind of says a lot about the city. And then after that, I moved back to just something I saw behind me, this little subway stop here. It's quite simple and quite basic, but I really like these types of photos. So in the edit, I really wanted to emphasize that kind of movie feel. I gave it a little bit of extra grain. Yeah, I think it maybe would have been better if there was like a person walking through, like right in the center of the frame, but yeah, take what we can get. Then I moved on to this. So this is the main like shopping street in Cologne, and it's been like a construction site for the last, I guess, for a while now, like well over a year. I think they're redeveloping it, but as I was walking through here with this like early morning light, I thought there was something nice about, maybe nice is not the right word, but something interesting about just like the kind of emptiness, but also the non-emptiness at the same time. Like I feel like these streets, like even when it's early and it's empty, there's still something full about them, something that makes you a little bit feel like they're busy even when they're not. And that was what I was trying to go for here with this photo. And then moving on to this like Carnival shop, where I saw these like little dolls just peering out of the window. Again, I thought this looked like maybe something from a frame in a movie. Like there was something kind of creepy about them or something, especially with the slight darkness, the early morning, and this like yellow light where they're just kind of peering out into this back alley. And then I continued walking just through the center of Cologne. But as I was walking, I saw this little, I guess, the morning light just peer above this little street here, and this person walking through it, creating this nice little shadow. And I hung around for a while. I changed my position a little bit, tried to get the person a bit more in the center of the street, but just with the way they were walking, I guess it didn't really work. Maybe if it was like a prettier street, or if the surroundings were a little bit more interesting, I think it would give the photo like a little bit more for where I was, and with that kind of morning after the night before feel. This was kind of what I was going for here. This person just walking through the empty streets, giving it that little bit of a lonely, regretful tone almost. For anybody that's ever been to Cologne, you knows that the cathedral pops up a lot, especially around the inner city. It just peers out between alleys here and there, streets here and there, And this is what this photo was here. I don't think it's the best photo in the world. The light like just wasn't really brilliant, but just with the cathedral popping over, I stopped and grabbed a quick frame, and I think it looks okay. Then as I continued walking up the street, I found this little gap in this building here, this little like entrance to it, and I thought again it looked quite like interesting, you know, simple, minimal. Maybe to somebody else it's not interesting at all, but I really like these types of kind of city doorways, if that's a good description. I think if they're, I mean, I am still very much learning how to photograph these types of things, but some photographers I follow do this very well. So anytime I see this, I'm really drawn to them. I had to work around this a little bit. I tried taking a shot from the outside that included the pillars with the plants, but I thought that made the shot look a little bit busy. So instead I pulled a little bit closer and I went into the inside, and I shot this really simple, again, minimalistic photo. I wanted it to look quite bare and empty, and again, with that type of movie film look that I was going for. And then I turned on my GoPro just as I was walking through the street, because I think it's a really nice shot of the dome from here, where you just come out of this little cover and it appears in front of you. As I was walking past here, I saw this little side street with these bicycles, and they just grabbed my attention, particularly this one that was falling down. It's like a nice pattern of 4 bicycles, maybe supposedly standing 3 upright and then 1 that had just fallen. Again, it kind of gave that feeling of that like morning after the night before that I was very much feeling at the time here. So I snapped a quick photo. I tried from one angle first, didn't really work, and then I moved to the side, and I think it works a little bit better. I think if the background was maybe a bit more minimal maybe, or that might have put more emphasis on the bikes. I think the background takes a little bit too much away from it, but still, for what I was feeling at the time, I think maybe an interesting photo. Then I moved on to the plaza that's right in front of the dome. Now, I realize I've said the word dome a few times in this video, and for anybody that doesn't live in Germany, that means cathedral basically. And here in Cologne, everybody calls it the dome. So I'm sorry I haven't explained that so far. But this plaza is just to one side of the main Cologne cathedral, and it really opens up in front of you here. It's very, very like awesome from this angle. At first, I saw these 2 tourists just in front of me that I thought might offer a little bit of nice contrast, but they were taking pictures and just not in the right position, and as much as I tried to move around, it didn't really work so much. So I held tight and I just hung around for a little bit longer, and eventually my patience paid off, because this man here in this blue Carnival costume walked out with his suitcase, and again, I think that like really emphasized that morning after the night before feeling that I had while I was shooting. So I kind of positioned myself a little bit sneakily here, made it look as if I was taking photos of the dome, but really keeping an eye on this man as he was walking closer to me so I could get him in the frame. And eventually it lined up perfectly and I got this shot, and I think this is probably my favorite photo of the day. And then I just hung around here for a few more minutes after that, because every time I come here I look at the details of the cathedral, and I've always wanted to shoot a photo that can emphasize that. So I tried to do that again here with this shot, and I think I failed miserably. I tried to edit it in black and white again to like show it even more, but I don't think it works so much. But it's definitely on my to-do list in the future to try and get a closer photo that works. It's funny, like every time I go out to take photos in Cologne, I say that I've photographed the cathedral a million times and I try to stay away from it, but I always get pulled towards it because it's so big and so awesome, and to be honest, so much more interesting than almost everything else in the city, that it's very hard not to get pulled towards it. So I continued walking across the plaza and eventually got to the front and hung around here for a few minutes because the light was like really nice coming in from the side there, that like sun rising, and there was some people again in carnival costumes and lots of like the activity was starting to pick up a little bit. So I tried to get this photo here where I could just show a little bit of that. So I just hung around the front of the dome for a little bit longer because I noticed that the activity was starting to pick up a little bit. I think the carnival craziness was starting to kick in as the morning went on a little bit. I noticed a group of people dressed as minions came around the corner, and then eventually this man here dressed in this red carnival costume just came across my frame. Now looking at this footage here now, it would have been so much better to shoot normally rather than vertically. It's funny nowadays with social media, my instinct is just gone to shooting vertically, which is such a shame because I think this frame could have looked good with that pigeon that just flew across the frame. But yeah, in hindsight, all great. But I ended up getting this shot anyway. It's okay. It could have been so much better, I feel like. So there's a little bit of missed opportunity sense about this photo, but yeah, what can you do? Until the next one, I guess. And then I went to move on until I got called to take a photo of this group. Happy guys enjoying Carnival. It's such a classic when you're out with your camera, people asking you to take photos. And then finally my last shots of the day was just walking a little bit on from the dome and was walking down the street, and I turned around and I saw the light was after picking up a little bit. I was getting ready to go home at this stage, but I saw the shadow of the cathedral in the morning light and I just snapped some last photos, trying to show the scale just from a different perspective. But I think this shot is just my favorite from this little set here, with the car coming in front, the light coming in from the side, the bland Cologne buildings and cars. I think it's quite a nice contrast in a way, and it's always interesting to me how the cathedral just towers over everything here. Yeah, that's basically it. I kept walking for a little bit longer after this, but didn't see much, and eventually put my camera into my bag and went home and had some nice breakfast. Thanks very much for watching. Feel free to leave your thoughts or comments. I'll be back again with another video real soon. And until then, take care.